Bitcoin just make an all-time high on the USDT chart on Binance. And the Bitcoin bulls just finished a significant play during the weekend. Welcome back. This is your trading and investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. My name is Joy. In this video, I'm going to show you how the Bitcoin bulls turned the tide during the weekend. And when do we expect a new all-time high on the spot chart with USD? So let's dive right into it. Let's start with the USDT chart for Binance on the weekly time frame. So the last all-time high, you can see that it's 19,798. You can see the all-time high here. So it's 19,798, and today the high is 19,863. So this is a new all-time high on the USDT chart. On the spot chart, let's take a look at it. So the spot chart, the all-time high for USD in Coinbase is 19,891, and today on spot chart is 19,873. So we are just like $20 away from the all-time high on the Coinbase chart. But if you remember on the last video, we were pretty bearish on the daily chart. How did the bulls turn the tide during the weekend? So let's take a look at it on the daily chart. So last time, remember that we are expecting the RSI to come back and retest this green line, because it used to be a support line. Right now it's a resistance. We are still expecting it to come back. Now in the last video, I mentioned that I want you guys to track two indicators really closely. The first one is the RSI. If it come back and retest this green line, we should be starting to shorting Bitcoin. And the other indicator is the BitMax index funding. So during the weekend, the bulls has a really great control over the BitMax index funding. You can see that on Saturday, we were still close to positive, but we quickly became negative for a couple of days. And I mentioned that in my last video, if the BitMax index funding become negative, we should be starting to accumulate. And this is why I pick up some Bitcoin at around $18,000. Ideally, the most profitable timing to buy Bitcoin is in these 2 days, which is around November 26th and over November 27th. And we can see some very bullish signals for the candles. We can see two long wick to the downside, and this is the buying momentum from the bulls. If you combine this signal with the negative BitMax index funding, and these two are screaming for a buy for Bitcoin. Although the BitMax index funding is a bit lagging than these two candle wick, it's lag about a day. This is why I didn't pick up the Bitcoin in this time frame. Instead, I pick it up at around $18,000. So here. So this morning, Bitcoin just burst through last high and reaches this basically really close to the all-time high on this green line. Now, if you still remember, in my last video, I mentioned that every time Bitcoin on the weekly chart, the RSI reaches more than 80, we will have a 30% pullback. Apparently, this time it was just around 16%. So we still haven't got 30% pullback. But you have to understand that the pullback for Bitcoin of 30% does not necessarily have to happen from this candle. Bitcoin can just blast through the all-time high, which is like about, I don't know, maybe reaches about 28,000 and then pull back 30%. That's still possible because in my previous video I also mentioned for the RSI, when it blasts through 80, the 80 level can act as a support. So if you can take a look at it carefully, you can see that the RSI reaches about 84, come back to about 82, and then bounce again to 84. Therefore, please be really careful when you try to Bitcoin when it's near all-time high. Now let's come back to the daily chart. Now we need to know what we need to do next. Alright, so this is the daily chart. Right now we can see that the BitMEX index funding has become positive again. This is why I just sell some of my position that I accumulate over the last 2 days. And if the RSI come back and retest this green line, I will be selling another part of my position. And I'll probably keep 50% just in case Bitcoin just blasts through the all-time high. If that happens, that will be what we call blue sky breakout, because this is a new all-time high. Above this level, there is no transaction in Bitcoin history. So Bitcoin can do something really crazy if it's blasts through this level. So please be patient and we'll see what happens next. Another update I want to give is the monthly time frame. If you take a look at the monthly, we can see that Bitcoin is about to close a really important candle. This is the monthly time frame. You can see that this is the monthly candle, and we only have about 2 hours and 30 minutes, and this candle will be closed. And there is the chance that this candle will be closed around the all-time high is really important, because in Bitcoin history, it has never closed to this high of level. Even in 2017, we closed at around $14,000. We don't count the wick, that's not close. The close price is here. So there is a really high chance that Bitcoin will be closing at the history high. And this is really bullish. Therefore, I'm definitely not recommending anybody to short Bitcoin when Bitcoin is about to close this high in the monthly time frame. But I also not recommending to buy it right now because BitMEX index funding is positive on the daily time frame. And if you are really FOMOing right now and you have to buy it, don't buy it all at once. Just like when I buy it at $18,000, I just put in about 1/3 of my funding. So I don't want to spend all of my funding all at once, because if Bitcoin just crash from here, you will get wrecked. So please be really careful when you try to trade Bitcoin when it's close to all-time high. It's gonna be really volatile. And again, the BitMEX index funding is positive. And if you already bought Bitcoin and the BitMEX index funding is positive, the things we should do is to sell every rally Bitcoin has. So even if Bitcoin break through the all-time high, I'm gonna selling some part of my position too. So that is my strategy for now. Alright, so that's the update for Bitcoin. It's kind of short, but I want to make this video because it's possible that today we might make all-time high. So that should be fun to watch in the future. Alright, so before I go, I want to give a short update for gold and silver, because gold and silver just put on something very interesting. So this is the gold chart. In my previous video, I mentioned that in the weekly time frame, the gold has started a weekly consolidation and pullback. And if you take a look at the RSI, so this line acts as resistance first. So we touch once, twice, a breakout, come back and retesting it, bounce, and then come back down and retesting it again. So my favorite pattern for buying, no matter for Bitcoin, gold, stock, is for the RSI to come back down and break this line to the downside like this. I will be buying a lot when it breaks to downside like this, because I expect a huge bounce and come back up, break this line again. The reason for this is when we break this important support line, a lot of people lose hope, and this is when the bulls starting to strike. And if you take a look at the news is dismissing gold and silver over Bitcoin. So a lot of money is flowing into Bitcoin right now, but this is actually a great time to invest into gold and silver, because if you look at the daily chart, gold is approaching a really oversold condition on the RSI. It's about 28 right now. So I expect gold will have a bounce in the near term, and this bounce could be significant. A similar thing is for silver. So if I take a look at the silver chart, the weekly is similar. So you can see that we have one touch point, two touch point breakout, come back and retesting it, and we break this line, and we're trying to break it again to the upside. And if I take a look at the price, so on the weekly chart, we actually put on a really long wick, just like Bitcoin on the daily chart. This is buying momentum, so silver is getting ready to rebound. Although we still have 4 days to close this candle, but the weekly chart for silver is actually pretty bullish. And when a lot of people is thinking the precious metals will be sinking, they could be wrong, because you should never follow the herd. And when the news is talking about the precious metal is going to hell, this is when you should be paying attention. Alright, so that is the short update for gold and silver. And let's take a look at Bitcoin, and we are still battling this resistance. Alright, we'll have to see what happens for the next couple of days, but I think the possibility for Bitcoin to break the all-time high is really high. Thank you guys so much to come back to the channel. My name is Chui. This is your trading investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. If you like my content, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. I wish you have a wonderful day, and I wish you have bought a lot of good stuff during the Black Friday. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.